Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Diann Bourgeois on today's show.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Indie Beacon Show. I have with me Miss Diann Floyd Boehm. She has written several children's books and pretty much children's books. They range in age from preschool up to, I'd say, 3 or 4 year old. Is that right?
More like third grade.
Third grade? Okay, so
yeah.
A little bit older, up to 8-year-olds. Good. But you've got 2 books that have just recently come out, or one's getting ready to. One of them is called Rise, and that has been out for a couple months now. But this is more for the older child, I shouldn't say child, but the younger adults.
Correct.
The high school, it doesn't go
and up.
And up, yeah, not down, but definitely up. So
yes.
Tell us about Rise, because I know this is real personal to you.
I'll be happy to. So the full name is Rise, A Girl's Struggle for More. And it takes place in the 1920s. And it's based on my grandmother, Ruby. And I wrote the book because I wanted to inspire young people to work hard to follow their dreams and not get discouraged if it doesn't happen overnight. And so by following what she went through in order for her to become a businesswoman, it was a new process for a lot of parents to think about their daughter not getting married right away to enter the business world. And so Ruby had to show that she was capable of handling what was then considered a man's job. And I find her story very inspiring, and it was fun to study that time period and write this book. It took me a while, but now that it's out, I'm really happy.
Well, what I like about this book is that you've written it for dyslexic people. Why did you do that?
I did that because I'm so happy to have that dyslexia font out, because I believe everyone should have the opportunity to read. And people who happen to have dyslexia, I want them to have the opportunity to be inspired just like anyone else.
Okay. Now, so just to clarify, it is available both as a regular book and one as just no, I can't even
dyslexia. It's a dyslexia font, and actually anyone can read that font. It's just that at this particular moment, my publisher really wanted to do separate. But from now on, we'll just use the dyslexia font. It's so brand new to a lot of people, so they have to get used to it. The font's pretty incredible because all it is each letter is a little, there's space between each letter, so that someone that does have dyslexia, it won't have a problem of knowing what the letters are. When they're closer together in a font, it's easy for them to misread the lettering. So it's inspiring now that young kids can read these books and feel very confident in the classroom.
Yes, and I've been to many book festivals where I've had people ask me about books for those that special need, and it's nice to say, yes, we do have one. So that's good. So you mentioned it was your grandmother. So she was in the early 1900s, as you mentioned, going into business, a man's world. As you researched that, what was it? How did it feel to you to see how things were so different then?
Wow, that's really great. So she was born, different records show different things. So she was born in 1904. Some records say 1906. I think the older grandmother got, the more she said 1906. But the fun thing is I knew about her during the Charleston dance and other things, but not to the detail that I learned later that my mama shared with me. So I was like, wow, I thought I was really knew my grandma because I used to live with her for a while when I was a working girl myself. And so to see her in her fullness of what she went through was just a story that I just felt had to be out there. As far as answering your question, what did I find so interesting? I didn't realize that when she was growing up, the word teenager didn't exist. And that was really amazing to me. It was really her generation that helped make teenager become a common word by the time the 1950s came, because her generation, the parents were all about courting, picking out who your husband should be, and really watching over the girls and protecting them. But cars came to be, and it was this generation that was the first ones, and I had never thought about this before, who actually went on a date, because that was not a word that you used. And so you were unaccompanied, and there was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's the world coming to? So I found that very fascinating.
I can imagine it is. We take so much for granted at this period of time, 2021. So 100 years ago, it's hard for us to imagine totally different world, existed at that point. You mentioned that you lived with her. So did she give you words of wisdom as you grew up to become a more fulfilled and independent woman?
Absolutely. Both actually my parents did, as well as my grandmother and my mom's sister and my Aunt Pat, incredible role models. We went to Grandma's house every Sunday, because I grew up in the generation that you went to Grandma's house for Sunday dinner. And so you went to church, we changed clothes, we hopped in the car, and I have 5 brothers, so you can just imagine what it was like. It was really fun. It was a very special time. And then off to Grandma's we went. My brother Mikey and I especially spent weekends sometimes at Grandma's house. And it was those times that we would, like, if Aunt Pat took Mikey somewhere, then I'd be with Grandma, and she would share with me words as wisdoms like you talked about. And I remember once her speaking to my mama, actually, and I just happened to be eavesdropping because I was good at that as a youngin'. And I heard my mother go, "Oh, that Diann, she is so stubborn." And Grandma would say, "She's not stubborn, she's determined, just like me." And so later on, Grandma would say, "It's your determination that's going to get you through life. You hang on to that, and you get fire in your gut, and you move forward." And she would say things like that.
Okay. The obvious question, before we run out of time here, is what specifically are you hoping gets the message? Let me rephrase that. What type of message are you hoping to get across in this story for other ladies or even guys?
Absolutely, for both men and women, to really be who they are meant to be. Don't let people tell you who and what you should do. That if you really feel at this particular moment it's a journey you should go on, then this book will inspire you to do just that.
Okay. That's a good response. And that also brings us to the end of our time. So we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Mary Ann Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmouth.com.
To embrace your children's imagination, check out Diann Floyd Boehm's books for kids. There's The Moonling Adventures, all about the animals in the Serengeti. And then there's Harry the Camel, learning to love yourself just the way you are. Then The Little Girl in the Moon. There's one about friendship, another one about the big ideas, which is an inspirational story. And then Tour Tycho Town, right there in Tycho Crater on the moon. All of Diann Floyd Boehm's books are available at B4R Store.
Hello, I am the author Denise Bryson. My first book is The Things That Cross My Mind, Inspirational Poetry with Life Lessons. And then my audio book is Love's Reality. And it is also inspirational poetry with a jazzy flair. And then my new book is The Sex, the Lies, and the Soul Ties. They're really short stories written from a poetic expression. And then I have my first children book series, the Blinky series, which the first book is called Meet the Coins, and it is both in English and Spanish. And then the new book, From Coins to Bills. I am the author, Denise Bryson.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join B. Alan Bourgeois on today's show.
And welcome back. This is your host, B. Alan Bourgeois. You are either watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show. We're glad you're with us. We're wrapping up this 2021 season, and I have with me Diann Floyd Boehm, who has written several children's books. We just talked about her young adult book that just came out called Rise, but she also has another children's book coming out that's really interesting story. So let's talk briefly about that one. It is A Song of Peace. So let's start with why that title.
Why that title? Because I love to sing, and I wish there was peace. And so all of a sudden, with everything going on, and as I knew we'd eventually be moving towards the holidays, I just really want people to be able to be with their families. And one night, this idea came to me in the middle of the night, and the next day I started working and writing on the story. And it's about a little boy who just hops off the merry-go-round, who wants peace, and he just starts going, singing the word peace, peace, peace over and over, and that's how it all came to be.
So I'm a little curious, was this after the birth of your grandson, your first grandson?
It was after the birth of my first grandson. That's absolutely correct.
So I'm wondering if he's already talking to you on a mental state.
Maybe he is. I tell you, he's very inspiring.
Good. All right. So this book, when is it planned or is the release scheduled for?
The release is tentatively scheduled for November the 24th for Thanksgiving. And I think we will meet that. I'll know for sure on Monday. So I'm very excited.
Good. Well, we of course have the cover up on our screen for people to see, and of course we'll talk where you can purchase it. But there's something else that you're doing with this particular book related to social media. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm very excited about this. A wonderful friend who you happen to know very well. Oh my goodness, who could that be? Oh, that was you. They gave me the great idea. So thank you very much. So I went and I filmed my different nephews, and they could either sing or say peace. And so I filmed each one of them separately, and them as a group, as well as a couple of sister-in-laws. And the purpose is to use that footage to inspire other people around the world. And it has. So I have a couple of people from Dubai, from the Philippines, and from England that have sent me singing the word or saying the word peace. And we hope to start having views of that next week. And what I really would love is for the listeners to sing peace or say peace and really mean it, and 50 seconds worth, and send it to me, and we will post it. And that would be really great.
I'm sorry, how long of a piece do you want?
No more than 50 seconds, because that can go then on your story and Instagram, and that's what we want to be able to do is use that footage that will fit in lots of social media platforms.
Great. Well, when it is ready, we'd love to add it into our social media. We have TikTok and all the others and stuff, so we'd love to share that out there and kind of make that a movement of some sort, because it's real simple. Just say peace.
Yes, that's right.
So
and mean it with all your heart.
Yes, yes, and this is the season for it. So dig deep down in there, even though everything else is crazy right now. I'm sure everybody can say it and mean it with all their
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about the story. You mentioned, a little boy gets off the merry-go-round and just starting to say peace, peace, peace. But there's more to the story, but I don't want you to give it away, but give me a little bit more about it.
All right. So there's a lovely, so the little boy's with his mom. And then one of the neighbors show up, which is really special. And I want to mention her because it's actually a neighbor. I use the name Mrs. Sills, and she was actually a very inspirational woman to all of us. On the street, we called her our Aberdeen mom. So while the rest of our moms would be working, she actually would be keeping an eye and making sure we were safe. And so I thought she'd be the best character to have with the mom and with Tommy. And the other part was Tommy knew that, he could hear his mother talking about, oh my gosh, is there ever going to be peace on earth? Why can't the leaders quit arguing? Why can't they talk to each other and work together? And so Tommy just decided that the angels fell asleep, that they were never going to, as long as the leaders were fighting, they just gave up. And so Tommy felt that if the angels started hearing the word peace, that maybe it would wake them up, and that the angels would get inspired, and maybe the leaders would get inspired, and things would happen. And that's all I can share with you right now, and lovely things happen.
Well, that's definitely enough to also inspire people to add into the video and social media and stuff like that and things of that nature, because as we know, social media can make a huge movement, whether it's Black Lives Matter or anything. And this could be one of those type of movements if people get behind it and support it. So you never know.
You never know. And I think you're absolutely right. And again, I want to give you credit for coming up with the idea, because I ran with it. And I do believe that the majority of people in the world really would love to have peace on earth as much as possible. So if it could become a movement, I would just be very humbled by all of it.
I totally
and maybe
agree.
maybe our leaders would listen.
You never know. It would be nice. So, we've got just a couple minutes left of this segment, and I want to just real lightly touch upon some of your other stories. Give me a nutshell. You have a girl on the moon. So tell me a little bit about that series.
Yes, sure. So I had the Little Girl in the Moon series that's morphed into the Moonlings. The Little Girl on the Moon is a moonling, and now it's called the Moonling Adventures, because we've brought in the little boy in the moon. So now the moonlings get to go on lots of adventures. Moonlings love Earth as much as Earthlings love the moon. So the commonalities of the two is a great way to show our readers, no matter where people are from, that people might be different, but there's more in common than different, and to be kind and love one another.
And to that extent, you also have an award-winning book, Harry the Camel. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, Harry the Camel I love. My husband and I used to live in Dubai, and I wanted to write a book to give thanks for our beautiful life that we had there. And camels play a very major role in the Arab life. And so Harry does not want to be a camel. He wishes he was a horse. But different events happen, and in the end, he discovers that there's nothing better than being who you are. And so my message to young children, and even to parents who read this, is that love yourself, love the gifts you've been given, and go out there and don't let people bully you. Just be happy and continue living and doing great things.
Great. Well, that brings us to the end of the second segment. We will be back in just a moment after our sponsors say their things. Peace, 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 peace. Peace, 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 peace. Oh, hi. You caught me singing the song Peace. Just working away, and that tune was in my head from Diann Floyd Boehm, her book, Peace, the Song of Peace.
It's a catchy little tune, and who knows, maybe putting the energy out there to the universe, somebody will listen to it and actually consider that we do need peace in the world. Feel free to add into your mix. Just sing the song, catch your kids singing the song. Doesn't matter who's doing it. Just add it into the mix and put it up on social media. Tag Diann Floyd Boehm, and I'm sure she'll be happy to see that. So thanks. Bye.
Hi, I'm Mel Greenberg, author of Running with Our Eyes Closed, book 1 in the Empty Nested series. To the world, Samantha has the perfect life. 3 wonderful children, a loving husband, so she thought, and a life split between Dallas and Italy. When her youngest leaves for college, it all comes crashing down, forcing Samantha to re-examine everything. Over 7 days in one of the most romantic countries in the world, Samantha faces the past she thought she'd overcome and begins to redefine her role as a woman, a wife, and a mother.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? Well, during COVID, almost all of us have been doing just that. I'm Charlotte Canyon, award-winning author, actress, and speaker. And my book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, shows you how you can revive, thrive, and survive with 4 golden rules. You have to love one another. You have to respect one another. You have to have patience with one another. And most of all, you've got to forgive one another. I'm Charlotte Canyon, and I approve this message.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join V. Allen Bourgeois on today's show.
And welcome back. You are either watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show. We greatly appreciate you being here on our last shows for this 2021 season. I have with me Diann Floyd Boehm, who has written many books. So Diann, let's start with the basics of how can people find your books?
Sure. First of all, they can find it on my website. I have a list, but we can also find it in your bookstore, which is so wonderful because it's a really great way to support the authors before our store. And I'm very proud to be able to say my books are listed there. Of course, there's also Amazon and Barnes and Noble and local bookstores, but before our store is really for the authors, and we really appreciate it when you support that particular store.
But you mentioned your website, so what is your website address?
Diann Floyd Boehm, and because I spell everything differently than it's pronounced, I'm gonna spell it. So DiannFloydBoehm.com, DiannFloydBoehm.com.
All righty. And now that COVID is slowly going away, after the first year, are you going to be out doing events?
Yes, and praise God that COVID is slowly going away and people can be healthy and we can all start interacting together because people have been missing that interaction. I'm looking forward to when schools do allow visiting authors. Most schools at the moment still are doing Zoom, which is good, you know, to be safe. But Kroger, I'm a part of the Kroger authors, and I will be visiting a Kroger store soon in the Houston area, where I'll be doing a book signing. So that's exciting. And then, of course, you do a great job in finding places for us authors to show up and do things. And I have some goodies in the goodie bag in the Galveston show that's coming up. And then we have the library, ALA, isn't that what you call that? Yes. And so I'm excited to be part of that as well. So fun things are happening.
Great. I just want to clarify for people who are watching who have a Kroger's near them. Kroger's program is based in Texas. It's on the east side of Texas. So it's not like we have authors in all the different Kroger's around the country or anything, but it's specifically to the Texas market. With And of course, all the events you're going to be attending and stuff will be up on your website so people can find you and come and meet you and maybe even do a live piece video with you or something.
Yes, that would be great. I absolutely love it when people who have my books and find out where I'm located and where I'm going to be. And that is always on the event page or the news section on my website. And when they ask me to come and they tell me, oh, I bought this book and my kid loves it, la, 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 I'm just like so thrilled and again, humbled. It's been a long journey to get here, and with the support of my family through all these years telling me I can do it. And now to be here, I just can't even begin to tell you how much it means to me to have the support of people actually purchasing my books. So.
And with that in mind, my last question for the show is, what words of advice do you have for somebody who wants to be an author?
Just start writing, because what you write down at the beginning is not the way it's going to be at the end. So just get the words down, and then your book will slowly come to you. And just start writing.
That's perfect. I want to thank you for being with us on one of our last shows for the season. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll look forward to seeing you in 2022.
Thank you for having me, and I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
All righty. Okay, so that will do it.
Thank you for watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show, produced by Diann for the Authors Marketing International LLC. Copyright 2021. Voiceover by Diann. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please email us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on the show, please complete the form found on our website at indiebeacon.com. You may also watch previous year's shows on the website. Music is Frolic of Words, created for Indie Beacon